He did it again. Less than 24 hours after the Supreme Court struck down his tariffs, less than 12 hours after signing a brand new 10% global tariff, Donald Trump just raised it to 15%, the absolute maximum the law allows, effective immediately. I want you to sit with the speed of what just happened, because this is unprecedented in American trade history. Friday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, the Supreme Court publishes a 6-3 ruling. The president does not have the authority to impose tariffs under IEEPA. $175 billion in collected tariffs are declared illegal. Friday afternoon, 2 p.m., Trump walks into the White House briefing room. He calls the justices fools, lapdogs, and an embarrassment to their families. 2 hours later, he signs a brand new 10% global tariff using a completely different law, Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974, a law that has never been used for tariffs in American history. Saturday morning. Not even 24 hours later, Trump posts on Truth Social. And I want to read you the key part because the language matters. He calls the Supreme Court ruling, quote, ridiculous, poorly written, and extraordinarily anti-American. And then he announces he is raising the tariff from 10 to 15%, the maximum that Section 122 allows, from unconstitutional to maximum, in under 36 hours. Now here's the detail that makes this explosive for markets. These 15% tariffs go into effect Monday at 12:01 a.m. Eastern. That is tomorrow night. And on Tuesday night, Trump delivers the State of the Union address. So the president will stand in front of Congress, the Supreme Court justices who ruled against him, and the entire nation, exactly 12 hours after his maximum tariffs hit every import coming into the country. That is not a coincidence. That is a message. And if you own gold, silver, or any hard asset, you need to understand what this message means for your portfolio. Let me break it down. Here is the legal picture and why every investor needs to understand it. Section 122 allows the president to impose tariffs of up to 15% for 150 days to address what the law calls large and serious balance of payments deficits. Trump just hit the ceiling on day one. He cannot go higher under this authority, but 150 days is not permanent. These tariffs automatically expire in late July unless Congress votes to extend them. And by late July, the midterm election campaign will be at full intensity. Republicans will need to decide whether to vote for extending tariffs that are raising prices on their constituents or let them expire and publicly break with the president. That vote will be toxic either way. But here is what most people are missing. On the same day Trump raised tariffs to 15%, the administration announced that U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer is opening Section 301 investigations on, quote, most major trading partners on an accelerated timeframe. Section 301 is a different animal entirely. It is the same law used to impose tariffs on China back in 2018. Those tariffs are still in effect 8 years later. Unlike Section 122, Section 301 tariffs have no built-in expiration date. They can be permanent, so the strategy is now clear. Section 122 at 15% is the bridge. It buys the administration 150 days. During those 150 days, Section 301 investigations will be fast-tracked. And when Section 122 expires, the administration plans to have Section 301 tariffs ready to replace them. The Supreme Court closed the IEEPA door. Trump is building an entirely new door, and he is building it fast. For markets, this means one thing. Tariff uncertainty is not going away. It is intensifying. And tariff uncertainty has been one of the most reliable drivers of gold prices for the past 2 years. Let me connect this directly to gold and silver because the data is telling a very clear story. On Friday, after the Supreme Court ruling, gold closed at $5,062 per ounce, up $64 on the day. Silver closed at $80.62, up $2.99. Silver actually outperformed gold on a percentage basis, gaining 3.85% compared to gold's 1.29%. Those moves happened when the market thought the new tariff would be 10%. The market is not yet priced in 15%. The market has not priced in Section 301 investigations on most major trading partners. And the market has not priced in Trump traveling to China next month for a face-to-face meeting that could either de-escalate or dramatically escalate the entire trade war. When markets open Monday morning, all of this hits at once. 15% tariffs already in effect. A State of the Union speech 12 hours away. An Iran military deadline ticking down. Netanyahu arriving at the White House on Wednesday. And Nvidia reporting earnings the same day, which will determine whether tech money stays in risk assets or rotates into safe havens. That is not a week for being passive. That is a week that moves prices. Goldman Sachs reiterated their year-end gold target of $5,400 this month. Central banks have bought over 1,000 tons of gold in each of the last 3 years. Goldman specifically noted that central bank buying is reaccelerating in 2026. China, India, Turkey, Poland, Singapore, all accumulating. And here is the structural argument that keeps getting stronger. The Congressional Budget Office published a report this week saying the national debt is heading toward, and I quote, uncharted territory by 2035. The budget deficit is about to explode because the tariff revenue the government was counting on just got struck down by the Supreme Court. The big, beautiful bill cuts $4.7 trillion in revenue. The tariff revenue that was supposed to offset it is gone, so the government will borrow more, the dollar weakens. Inflation stays sticky because 15% tariffs on everything means higher prices on everything. And gold, the one asset with no counterparty risk and no government that can rule it, unconstitutional, gold goes higher. The gold-silver ratio compressed to 62.8 on Friday, which means silver is gaining strength relative to gold. When silver outperforms gold, it typically signals broad-based precious metals momentum. Watch that ratio this week. Here's your updated roadmap. 6 events in 5 days. Each one can move gold and silver. Monday midnight, 15% global tariffs go live. If you trade futures, watch Sunday evening for early positioning. The dollar index reaction in Asian markets will set the tone for the entire week. If the dollar drops below 103, gold likely tests new highs on Monday alone. Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. State of the Union. Trump faces the justices who struck down his tariffs. He will address trade policy, Iran, and the budget. Listen specifically for any mention of Section 301 investigations. If he announces specific countries or timelines for permanent tariffs from the podium, expect metals to spike. Wednesday morning, Netanyahu arrives at the White House. The meeting centers on Iran and the scope of potential military strikes. Israel has been pushing for a maximalist scenario, including regime change. If a strike is coming, this meeting is where the green light happens. Wednesday is also NVIDIA earnings. Tech sentiment drives overall risk appetite. A miss sends money into safe havens. Thursday, tariff refund lawsuits accelerate. $175 billion in IEEPA tariffs were collected. The Supreme Court did not address refunds. Trump said the issue has to get litigated for the next 2 years. But if courts order refunds, the budget deficit gets dramatically worse, which is structurally bullish for gold. Friday, Producer Price Index. Last week, PCE inflation came in at 0.4% month over month, hotter than expected. Now add 15% tariffs on top of already sticky inflation. Another hot print on Friday would cement the stagflation narrative and make it nearly impossible for the Fed to cut rates. Gold loves the combination of sticky inflation and a trapped central bank, and overhanging everything. Trump is traveling to China next month. Reuters confirmed this Saturday. A U.S.-China summit, while tariffs are at 15% and Section 301 investigations are opening. That meeting will determine the trajectory of global trade for the rest of the year. In the last 48 hours, the following things happened. The Supreme Court struck down the president's tariffs. The president called the justices fools. He signed a new tariff at 10%. He raised it to 15%, the maximum the next morning. He opened investigations for permanent tariffs. He announced he is traveling to China. And 2 aircraft carriers with 200 fighter jets are still converging on Iran. Every single week on this channel, I say the same thing. The structural case for gold is getting stronger. And every single week, the evidence keeps piling up. Gold is above $5,000. Silver is above $80. The dollar is at a 4-month low. The national debt is heading toward uncharted territory. And the man in charge of all of it just showed the world that a 6-3 Supreme Court ruling will not slow him down for 24 hours. I have 6 videos this week covering every angle. The Supreme Court ruling, the Iran military buildup, the State of the Union preview, and now this. If you are new to this channel, watch them in order. You will have the full picture. And I will be back after Tuesday's State of the Union with a full breakdown of what Trump said and what it means for your money. Subscribe now so you do not miss it. This is Money and Empires. I will see you on the next one.